Hi there. So last time we reviewed the short story Jeff Is 5 by Harlan Ellison, which, as you recall, won the Hugo and the Nebula back in the late 70s. Today we'll be reviewing a more modern short story that again won these two awards, Hugo and Nebula, and at the same time it also won the World Fantasy Award. So obviously it's gonna be a fantasy story, and it's actually the first short fiction that won those three awards. Hugo, Nebula, and World Fantasy. Okay, and that short story is going to be by Ken Liu, and it is part of this anthology, The Paper Menagerie and Other Stories. And I won't be discussing this book, but if you don't have this, get it. If you're a fan of speculative fiction, it's really good. But I'll be reviewing the title story, The Paper Menagerie and Other Stories. And in fact, I was so after reading it, I was so inspired, by the short story. It's really gut wrenching. I made myself some paper crane. It's not a menagerie; it's just a single animal. But I have my own paper animal, just like Lao Hu in the short story. But before we delve into the short story, some backgrounds. The guy Ken Liu, he is known for translating the novel The Three Body Problem by Cixin Liu. It's actually the first novel that won the Hugo, which was translated, not originally in English. Okay, he also has his own novel. I think the start of a series, The Grace of Kings, where he has this new subgenre called silk punk. Where it's like Eastern civilization using doing technologies using wood, bamboo, silk, and paper, and so on. It's just like steampunk based in London. So that's it. But his short story, The Paper Menagerie, very comparable to the one of the best sci-fi I've read in recent years that the recent authors have produced, and that is Story of Your Life by Ted Chiang. That one is hard sci-fi, but the science fiction is it's not the main what do you call this impact of the short story, and same with this one. This is fantasy, but the fantasy is takes a backward step. So let's talk about the short story. The Paper Menagerie is a short story about Jack, which is born. He is a half Chinese, half American. He has this Chinese mother and his dad, and they're living at a Connecticut. When he was young, his Chinese mother, he's always crying and so on. He wouldn't shut up, but his Chinese mother would make him a paper toy. Okay, and the first one that she made was that of an origami of a tiger. Okay, which was of course named Lao. And the fantastical element of the short story is that the mother would blow into the origami like that, and then the origami would come to life, right? And so um, Jack, when he was a kid, he had so much fun playing with his toys, and eventually they had a menagerie, like a zoo of these different origamis. They had like a water buffalo, I don't know, a giraffe, whatever. But Lao Hu, the very first one, the tiger, remained to be like one of the toys closest to his heart. But the thing is, as he grew up, he had his friend named Mark one time who visited their home, bringing his Obi-Wan Kenobi action figure, right? And they played and so on. And Mark was like, "Hey, chap, come on, show me your toys. What are you playing here?" And of course, he was so proud. He brought out Lauhu, his only toys. He was like, "I don't have any toys really. I only have these paper menagerie, these origami." And then, but he showed him it was moving, so Mark was curious. But then eventually, kids, they play fighting with their toys. Obi-Wan Kenobi fought with the origami tiger, no match. So I like sort of Obi-Wan Kenobi, his head fell off, and Mark, he was so angry, like he got his toy destroyed by Lau, the paper origami, and he was like he punched Jack in the face and was like, "Oh, but you pay that toy that was so expensive and you just destroy it. That was so high level toy, not unlike your Chinese garbage that you have here." And so he called um, Jack's toys some Chinese garbage, and there began the slow descent of Jack into this, sort of mentality where he began being ashamed of his Chinese lineage because he's in America and his classmates, he would tease him, "Hey, you have chinky eyes," and so on, yeah, like Chinese. And then sometimes Jack would look up at the mirror and he would be like, "No, I don't look like mother at all." And since his mother originally came from China, so she typically cooks Chinese food. She does not know, or she's not very good in English. She can barely speak English. Slowly, Jack does not want to be different, and so he wanted his mother to talk to him in English. He wanted his mother to, cook them American food. "Oh, why do we always? He was like, why do we always have Chinese food?" His father would go, "Oh, other families are also have Chinese food sometimes," and he will be like, "Oh, but our family is not like their family. Our family has a Chinese mother who does not belong," like that. So he began being ashamed of his mother, and eventually it came to a point where um, he wouldn't talk to his mother unless the mother speaks in English, because usually the mother will just speak some Chinese and then he won't talk to her until she speaks English. So the mother really tried her best. She practiced some English, and the way she practiced English, the way she cooks American food, it was not very good. Her English was so awkward, and so it only served to distance the two of them some more. And so eventually, the mother stopped trying hard. She stopped altogether talking to Jack, and every time she interact with him, just she will just like mime, like, "Are you hungry?" or so on. She will just mime to Jack, which is really very sad. Something that, me personally, I never really had that stage where I was ashamed of my parents. I think my parents are cool, but yeah, it's a natural occurrence. I know people who were like, you know they have this sort of embarrassment with their parents, especially when they bring their parents with their friends. They think their parents are not cool enough, not updated enough, and so on. And that's what basically happened to Jack here. And until the time that Jack went to college, he really tried his best to show that he was an American. Doesn't have all those Chinese character traits. And then one time when he was in college, his mother had cancer, and the mother just told them at a certain point when the cancer was already inoperable, at a point where it was already incurable, right? And so Jack went back to their place. The mother was in the hospital, but the mother was like, "Oh no, it's okay. Don't worry about me. But if ever I die, don't be sad. Just remember those paper cranes, paper toys, the paper origami that I made you." And of course, going back, Jack actually, he was so embarrassed with those toys already because he can't relate with them with his friends. He placed it in a shoebox in the attic. He just kept them. And the mother was like, just play with them, and even if I'm dead already, you'll remember me. So just go. I know you're busy. Of course, Jack was like, he really does not want to be there. There's already this disconnect. So went away, and on his plane going back to his college, I believe it's in Nevada or something, the mother died, right? And so Jack accepted that, the death of his mother, and then eventually he grew up. He had his girlfriend, and then one time when their father was moving, their father like aged so fast when their mother died, and then when their father moved to another place, Jack's girlfriend Susan saw the shoebox that contained all this paper origamis, and she was like, "Hey, um, Jack, who made this? Your mother? They're really so artistic. Like, it's nothing. It's unlike anything I've seen before. It's unlike this ugly paper crane here. These are like, amazing origamis. Why are you keeping them here?" And so Susan eventually placed them on their what they call this as decorations to their rooms. Okay, and then one time, um, Jack noticed there was this tiger that he used to play before, Lauhu, right? The very first tiger. He thought that when the time when his mother died, these origamis became lifeless because she was the one who gave magic to them, life to them. And so he saw Lauhu. Lauhu wasn't moving already, but then when he touched Lauhu, he began thinking about how he was his first friend, his first playmate, and so on. And then suddenly, Lauhu moved, right? And so Lauhu went to him, jumped on his lap, and then they rekindled their lost time together. And then suddenly, Lauhu like opened at this sheet of paper, and then he found a letter from his mom, who is already dead. And this letter was written in Chinese. And so what he did was he actually recognized some characters, like the character for son. So he knew that it was written for him. And so what he tried looking for, Chinese people, because during that time he began when he grew up. People, as we realize that as we grow up, there's a time when sometimes it's too late to realize that we really love our parents and we didn't give our love to them, or we didn't spend time with them when we were young, or we were teenagers. So he was like recuperating. He asked some Chinese strangers to translate the letter to him, and when it was translated, meant like one of the most devastating letters ever, because in here, um, the mother actually told her short biography, or of what happened to her, why she went to America in the first place, and so on. Okay, and so the thing is, in this short letter, the mother explained her backstory, and she said, "Actually, I was gonna tell this backstory to you when you're like old enough, but I didn't get the chance." She was like that, and so basically, she was from a poor Chinese family in a place where it was really a poor country, and when they discovered that they have magic to do these paper cranes, eventually the country evolved by they use this paper origami, like they make the paper tigers to chase away mice, they make paper cranes to chase away grasshoppers, and so their farming grew and so on. But eventually there's this rift between Chinese people who knew people from Hong Kong, especially those who have contacts with people who knew how to speak English. And she has an uncle in Hong Kong. One day, her father was like dragged outside and killed. Her mother was killed, and so what happened was she escaped one time, and then she rode the train, and then eventually she was found. She worked as a housekeeper, and then eventually she learned of this opportunity to be able to part of a catalog, and where American men will look at you and buy you as their wives. So she took that opportunity and tried her best to be a good wife to Jack's father. And then in there, he related that she was really so lonely as she was growing up. She thought that all those stories about her, Chinese lineage or Chinese ancestors were just myth. But then the mother said that when Jack was born, it's like the happiest moment ever. She saw this in Jack. She saw her mother, her ancestors, her father, and she saw in him, in Jack, that all those things that she recalled when she was young, they were all true. It's not something that her mind made up. And so she was really so proud of Jack. She was really so proud to have it in him, the Chinese heritage, and it really hurt him a lot. It really hurt the mother a lot when eventually Jack, was not able to talk to her, and so it came to a point where um, the the mother already said, "Oh, I don't understand why you're doing this, why you're afraid to me." And Jack couldn't take it anymore. He stopped the stranger, translating the letters like, "Okay, I can't take it anymore. I know where's this is going. Just stop." And then the stranger like tapped him on the shoulder, went away, and then he realized that that day was King Ming. It's like a Chinese festival for the dead where their spirits are supposed to go back and relive with the relatives, sort of like the one in Dia de los Muertos in Coco. And then that's basically the reason why the Lao, the paper tiger origami, was reborn in the first place. So he assembled the letter was assembled into Lao again, and he has this forever memoir from his mother. But again, he was really very sad. He had this very sad realization in the end that he really can't uh, get back to the moment where her mother was still alive and show his Chinese mother the much love and much appreciation for the Chinese heritage that she needed, right? So it's really very amazing. I'm so excited to read all the other stories in there, but like I said, I'm still going to do read short stories that are Hugo and Nebula nominated. Okay, so I hope you read this short story, especially the mother's letter to Jack. It's so amazing, man. It's so gut wrenching. Okay, so until next time, and I'm gonna read probably. I'm not sure what I'm gonna read next, but there are only like 8 or so stories that will own both the Hugo and the Nebula. So watch out for my next video, and thank you for watching.